Okay, if I was starting all over again in real estate investing, what would I do? What would be my approach? Would I do anything different? In this video, I'm going to tell you 7 things that I would do right now if I was starting out in real estate investing. So let's jump into these in detail. Number 1, education. You need to have at least a baseline education before you get started throwing millions of dollars around. First, you should read some books. Let me grab some real quick. All right, so these are the books I would read in no particular order. The book on flipping houses by Jay Scott. The book on estimating rehab costs, also by Jay Scott. I would also read Landlording on Autopilot by Mike Butler. It's a little dated, but the principles are definitely spot on. And I would also read, I can't find it, I would read How to Invest in Real Estate by Josh Dorkin and Brandon Turner. And I'd also read the book on managing rental properties by Heather and Brandon Turner. So those are the books I would start with. All right, and then number 2, I would connect with other investors at your local real estate investing meetup. This is just a great way to meet and connect with people, to network. It's always interesting to see like what people are doing, what stage they're in. A lot of times you're gonna have everything from brand new people all the way up to people doing like huge syndication deals. So great way to meet people and connect. All right, number 3, I would follow somebody at that group, somebody that you click with, someone that you've talked with a few times that's a little bit farther ahead in their journey than you are. I would ask them to just let me tag along on their next deal. This is why. It's a great way to just get immersed right away and not through like book reading or reading a forum post or an Instagram post, but actually going and seeing things. So I would tag along with someone, hopefully on a deal where they're doing some sort of rehab. So it could be a fix and flip, it could be a rental property, but hopefully where there's some rehab involved so you can see that process. So you'll see how they acquired the property and found the property, how they financed the property. Hopefully you can attend a closing so you can see what that's like, being at the closing table on a deal, and then seeing the process where they're getting bids from contractors, going over the scope of work for the rehab. And then if they're selling the property for a fix and flip, you get to see that process, whether or not they stage the property, you know, how they sell the property, do they use a realtor, how do they market the property, and at the end of the day, how much money do they make? So I think this is really valuable. You can see, you know, the home inspection, the final walkthrough, all this sort of stuff that you really can't get from a book. So whether or not you're able to contribute somehow to them, maybe they need some help with the rehab or some paperwork or just running some errands, I'm sure that anyone in your investor group would be glad to have you along and show you the process. Now, number 4, I think there are 2 paths here. One is you could quit your job and invest in real estate full-time. Number 2 is you could keep your job and invest in real estate part-time. These paths look a little bit different. So if you choose path number 1 and you want to quit your job, then I think you need to flip 2 properties and then buy 1 rental. The reason for that is you can live off the money from one flip and invest the money from the other flip in the rental property that you're going to buy. Let's just say you're making $30,000 on average from a flip. If you live modestly, you can live off the $30,000 and then put that other $30,000 toward your flip. Now, path number 2, if you have a job, you can live off of that money, obviously, and you only need to flip 1 property and you'll have $30,000 to invest in a rental property. Of course, every area is different. Some areas may be more expensive, so you might need to flip an additional rental property, or you may need to look elsewhere in the US to invest and do some long distance investing. And I do want to mention that I do have a free ebook that goes over this in a little more detail. So click the description below and you can download that ebook for free. All right, number 5, regardless of which way you decide to go, like I always wanted to quit my job. So I'm going to take path number 1 here. And this is how I do it. I like inbound leads. That basically just means I don't have to cold call or do direct mail or any marketing like that. The leads come directly to me. And what I mean by that is basically people who want to sell a property are emailing, phoning me. They're filling out a lead form, contacting me first before they even probably talk to a realtor or anyone else. And so I get first dibs on that property. Now, you certainly can cold call or do direct mail. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just for what I like to do, my personality. I just prefer an inbound lead. So I would go with carrot.com. I was a customer of them for a very long time, was very successful, got lots of properties under contract with them. Basically, with carrot.com, it's a website that's very SEO friendly. Within the first week, I was ranking organically in Google search for the area I wanted to focus on. Now, I would set aside a couple $100 a month for Google Ads to get even more traffic to your website. And that is what I would do to get inbound leads for both the fix and flips and for the rental properties. Now, I do have an affiliate link for carrot.com down in the description. If you guys are interested in signing up with them, I believe there's a free trial. So give that link a click. I think you'll really be happy with the results you get from that. All right, number 6, I would keep this going for 2 or 3 years, doing 1 or 2 fix and flips, buying a rental, rinse and repeat. But then after that point, I would ramp up the flipping side to build up some capital. And this is why. Because number 7, I would buy self-storage. Now you're probably asking yourself, why self-storage? Why wouldn't you buy more single or multifamily or apartment buildings? Good question. So 3 things about self-storage I really like. It's easy to quantify, it's easy to manage, and it's easy to find. So let's go over those 3 things real quick. All right, it's easy to quantify. So what I mean by that is it's easy to look at a demographic area and see if they have an undersupply or an oversupply of self-storage. You can use this tool called Radius, where you can basically look and see like how much self-storage is in an area, what kind of self-storage is it, and is there a need for it, or is it oversaturated? The second thing is that it's so easy to manage. The thing that makes self-storage so easy to manage is really you don't have tenants. I mean, you do. You have tenants paying your rent, but they're not living there. So there's no plumbing. There's limited other amenities there. It's really just concrete and steel. There are ways that you can automate the process of collecting rent, getting people in and out of the premises, things like that. It's just a very easy business to automate compared with, like, say, an apartment building that you probably need to either manage heavily yourself or hire a property manager for. Self-storage, you could even manage it from afar very easily by automating a lot of these things. At the end of the day, it's a lot harder to evict someone from an apartment than it is to evict some stuff from a storage locker. And number 3, they're easy to find. So if you look at the self-storage market as a whole, you'll see that at the top 20%, you have some very big, institutionally owned self-storage, let's just call it the top 20%. But the bottom 80% of the market is mostly fragmented, meaning that it's mostly mom and pop owners. And mom and pop owners are great to buy from because you get the opportunity to take that property to the next level. A lot of times it may be undervalued and it may be underutilized. You can raise rents, automate everything, maybe even add more storage if you can see that there's a need for more storage in the area. A lot of times these are on fairly large parcels of land and you might be able to add another 100 units. Imagine what that's going to do to your net operating income on that property. So it's a fragmented market and you can talk directly with these owners however you want to do it. Cold call, email, knock on their door, however you find them. It's a great market to go after. And basically, I would do that for a little bit and then I would retire. And that's what I would do today if I started all over, knowing what I know now. I would love to hear from you guys. What's your perfect path going forward? What do you think makes the most sense for you? Leave a comment below. Would love to hear from you. Later.